If you don't want to hear it in a school board meeting, why should children be able to check it out of the school system? You see, we have perverts that are perverting our kids. And you all sit back smug in your chairs.
And they also thought it's not appropriate, and they shut him up and they said, you cannot read this book here because it is inappropriate, it is dirty, it is too blunt and too offensive, and it really is. But the question again is, if it is that offensive and that dirty and that obscene, why are you allowing our children to read it, to study it, to write exams on it, to memorize it? Is it really for them? Is it really for their benefit? Or are you trying to plant negative, evil, destructive ideas? So the South African government has made amendments to the Basic Education Law. And if you love any child and care about their overall well-being, then you better listen up. In a nutshell, through these amendments, known as the BELA Bill, the government of South Africa wants to take even more power and control over our children, their health, their education, and even their sexuality. My question is, with the power and control that they already have over our children through the school system, what have they done? Has it proven to be the best for our children? Has the government proved that they can manage our children? Let me know what you think of the current state of the education system, what you think about what the government has done with the control and power that they already have over our children in the comment section below. South African schools have had reports of bullying leading to suicides. Pupils being introduced to drugs in schools. 81% of grade 4 learners are struggling to read for comprehension at age 10. There have been stabbings of pupils in schools. A lot of the infrastructure is crumbling. There are teacher shortages. There is an overall lack of educational progress, just to name a few. Previously, to run away from the government and their ways of doing things, many parents who had the capacity to would opt to take their children to private schools or homeschool. Guess what? This BELA Bill is creeping in to affect even private schools and homeschooling as well. So what exactly is this BELA Bill proposing to implement, and is any of it something that you as a parent, a guardian, or someone who loves a child be worried about? The first thing is they want to introduce comprehensive sex education. And just so we're clear, there is sex education and there is comprehensive sex education. Sex education has already been implemented in schools and they feel like it just isn't enough, and they want to bring in comprehensive sex education. This is something that has already been implemented in Western countries, and from what we have seen, it is something that can be said to be some form of child sex education. Take a look at this video where one of the books that have been prescribed for children under comprehensive sex education is being read to parents, is being read to the board.
I'm here tonight expressing concerns with the sexually graphic books found in our school. What Girls Are Made Of by Alina Arnold, page 19. I laid a towel on the sheet in case I bled.
Natalie,
and then I watched Seth roll.
I'm going to interrupt you for a minute. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Last month we had some kids in the audience and some of the language was offensive to some.
Okay, that's exactly it. So I think we should continue, Jackie, because that's exactly my point. Page 58. She was talking about worshiping Jesus, but come on, she was talking about sex, right? Sex with Jesus. That's what she wanted, to give Jesus head. Swallowing Seth's is it different? Is it?
Point of order. I just don't think this is appropriate for a school board meeting. We
Well,
do have an
that's
adult
exactly-
process to review a
No,
book,
and I get it.
believe
And
that
this is
your
where I'm
language
going.
is
I'm going to
inappropriate.
exactly that policy. Our district does not have a policy in place protecting children from printed pornography, which is exactly what this book is.
So a mere 60 seconds of this book, of this material, was too obscene, was too offensive for parents and adults to listen to. And I understand, like, just listening to that, it is obscene, it is offensive, it is too much. So if we as adults can't absorb, can't bear 60 seconds of it, how do we expect a child to be in a full 30-minute, 45-minute class listening to that? And on top of that, they need to go home and do homework on this same material, and then they need to study it for a test and an exam, and then they need to memorize it and reproduce it in a test or an exam. Like, how does that even balance? Like, make it make sense. How do we think that this is something worth introducing into the lives of our children when we cannot even stand to bear it for a minute? Let me know your thoughts and views in the comment section below. Do you think it is okay? Do you think it is appropriate for such material to be brought into a curriculum? Do you think that it is okay for the basic education law of South Africa to want to introduce comprehensive sex education? What are the benefits of it? In terms of sex education, I think there are some things that we can say, you know, our children are benefiting. We might minimize teenage pregnancy and that, but comprehensive, I'm not so sure, but I'm willing to hear what you guys have to say regarding it. So please leave it in the comments section below. The second thing that this BELA bill wants to introduce is the selling of alcohol in schools. Why? Why do you want to sell alcohol in school? I don't understand. Like, why would you want to sell alcohol in a school? Are we running out of shebeens? Are we running out of taverns, bars, clubs? What is happening? Why do we need to sell alcohol in school premises? When I was in school, even when we had parties, even when we had matric dance, matric farewell, and all of that, there was no alcohol because, and we're not feeling bad about it. You know, we knew that we're here to study. It's a school environment. Alcohol has no business being in a school setting, right? And we knew that there are certain people, certain teenagers who were drinking alcohol on the sly, but we still knew that it is wrong. Now, when you bring alcohol into school where alcohol clearly states and makes a disclaimer that not to be sold to persons under the age of 18, what is the logic? What are you trying to achieve? Certain parents make sure that, first of all, some of them don't drink at all, and those that do are either able to, depending on the age of the child, to say, yes, I'm drinking alcohol, but you may not because of the following reasons, or you can only start drinking at this age. And some choose to, you know, not expose their children to alcohol at all for a variety of reasons. So now we as parents in our home make rules, make decisions. You know, we set the standard of how we want our children to be brought up with or without alcohol. And then they go to school to learn, to, you know, just for learning purposes and extramural. And now they're going to learn about alcohol. Now they're going to be exposed to alcohol. What is the reason? If you know, maybe you work for the government, maybe you have read this bill better than I have, and you understand why alcohol is being sold in schools, please let me know in the comment section below. But as for me, I see no need why alcohol should be sold in schools. Even if you say you are selling it to the parents, why? Or to the teachers, why? Let me know in the comment section below while we look at the third thing that this BELA bill seeks to implement. The third thing is you as a parent may be criminalized. That is, you may be arrested or given a fine if your 5-year-old, 5 going on 6, is not enrolled in school. Grade R is now compulsory according to this BELA bill. And I know that certain parents are comfortable with that. Certain parents are okay with that. mainly because of the current way of living, how both parents are in the workplace these days, how you don't have the freedom, you don't have the flexibility to be with your child from birth until 5, until 6, until, as long as you want. So a lot of people have taken their children to school, have enrolled them to school, not because they want to, but because they have to. But now it's not a matter of whether you want to or not. Even before grade 1, your child is mandated to be in school. That is in grade R at the age of 5, turning 6. What do you think of that? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. And considering the fact that we have 10-year-olds, we have grade 4 students or pupils who are failing to read, would it not be better for you to allow children whose parents have the capacity to be home with them, to read for them, give them that one-on-one attention, give them that full support? I know that not all parents can do it, which is what I said initially, that some parents must take their children there, but some parents can afford to be home, read books with their children, teach them counting, teach them whatever, expose them to educational content and that is what some parents choose to do before grade 1, before taking their children to grade R. They choose to not do that, but do what they can and then only take them to grade 1. If you want to tell me that it is now compulsory, what is the support behind it? Let's talk about it. And I'm saying all of this with the understanding that yes, there are some parents who are just, they're just careless. They don't consider their children's education. They don't care about their children's well-being, but that's one group. And then there's another group who care way more about their children than you ever will, whose children are able to read at 5, 6, and 7 way more than a grade 4 student who's going to your schools, who's going to government schools. So are you considering the well-being of every child, or are you just having a blanket system in dealing with this matter? And if you have not enrolled your child to grade R, or you were not meaning to enroll your child for grade R at 5, and now you have to, you need to consider that your child needs to be fully vaccinated, and that is point 4 of the issues raised by the BELA bill. Your child needs to be fully vaccinated or fully immunized, and if they are not, you need to secure all necessary immunizations or also face criminalization. And you may be watching thinking, immunization, vaccination, like every parent should have done that, right? Every parent has done that. Why would it even be a problem? Actually, not every parent has done it for a variety of reasons, for a variety of beliefs and understandings of vaccinations and immunization. And I think the next video can shed more light regarding this, can maybe open up your eyes to see why certain parents choose to not immunize their children, maybe completely not immunize them or not give them certain vaccinations. Take a look at this and share your views in the comment section below, please.
If your child was born in the United States, they are 76% more likely to die before their first birthday when compared to 19 other similar countries. And that's a fair comparison in that study. Again, going back to another big pharma trick, they'll say, oh, but look at us compared to the other 144 countries. No, we should not be comparing ourselves to the Congo. We shouldn't be comparing our children to countries where they don't have running water. These are not realistic concerns when you live in America, but it is extremely problematic that when weighed against other OECD countries, that we fail over and over and over again, that we are behind and not ahead despite us being the most vaccinated country in the world. Also from that same article, it says the United States kept pace with child mortality rates in its peer nations in the 1960s. Okay, so we were all on the same page. But researchers found that changed just a decade later. By the 1970s, United States mortality rates were noticeably higher for Americans ages 1 through 19. And by the 1980s, United States children under a year old were also showing greater rates of mortality. Again, looking at that first year of life, something happened after the 1980s. And what began in the 1980s, we talked about this in virtually every episode, an explosion of vaccines for children.
The fifth point is that if you have a 12-year-old, then she can have an abortion without your say-so, without your support, without even involving you. Teachers are now given the right under the BELA bill to facilitate these things, to inform your child of all the available abortion stations and take them there, or tell them how to get there. And don't worry, you don't need to tell your mom, you don't need to tell your dad, just go on and do it. A 12-year-old. We know full-grown adults who have gone through abortions and one regretted it. We know adults who have gone through abortions and felt like, I wish I had someone with me. We have had adults committing abortions and have various stories of how they wish they had more information, of how they wish things were done differently. Now you have a 12-year-old who has made this mistake and is now in a state of teenage pregnancy. It's not even teenage pregnancy, preteen pregnancy. And you're saying that as a teacher, you can just say, hey, you can quickly go and have an abortion there and don't worry about it, without the support of your mom, without the support of your father, without their guidance, without even having a conversation to say, mom and dad have made this mistake. And maybe they were going to say, actually, okay, you made a mistake. We'll embrace this child. We'll welcome this child. Don't worry about it. Yes, it's going to be, a repercussion of your decision, but let's accept it. You don't know if that's what the parent was going to say. You don't know if they tried to say that and the child said, I still want to have the abortion. The parent were going to say, okay, let me go with you so that you can have all the support that you need. You don't know how it is going to turn out. And I know a lot of people are going to say, yeah, but some parents are abusive. Yes, some parents are abusive, but so many others are not abusive. And you cannot make a decision based on the small percentage of abusive parents. Why don't you just deal with those abusive parents? If you are making this decision based on that population of abusive parents, why don't you invest time, money, resources into saying, hey, we have so many pupils who are being abused in their homes, and if they are in a state of teenage pregnancy, we fear that they would be beaten, they would be whatever, right? So let's deal with that. Let's help find out which parents are abusive, which children are being abused, and let's put in resource in maybe helping those children. Because yes, they were not, you help this child get the abortion, without the knowledge of the abusive parent. But have you taken that child out of the abusive home? No, you have not. So you have solved one problem, or you think you've solved a problem. Let's just give it to you. Let's say you've solved the problem to say this child was not beaten and hurt for falling pregnant. But beyond that, is this child still not in an abusive home? They are. So if it's a matter of abuse, deal with the abuse and stop making rules and regulations and laws that perpetuate other issues and problems in this child's life. I don't know how you see it, but let me know in the comments section below. Overall, I feel like there are others, but I'd like to stick to these 5 that the BELA bill is proposing to implement in the lives of our children, are mainly to take control of our children and to follow the guidance and the guidelines of UN, of United Nations, UNESCO, World Health Organization, institutions that have good to them, but also have some not so good ideas and motives and intentions in what they do. If you do your research and you check really what these people really truly stand for. I think the pandemic and everything kind of told us a lot about where these people really stand and what they really believe in. And personally, I'm not comfortable with the government of South Africa just succumbing to the pressure that the UN, World Health Organization, and UNESCO is applying on them. right? This is not the first time that they're proposing such horrible changes to our basic education law, but previously we fought against it. We took our stand, and I hope that this time around we take our stand as well. It looks like our government is not as bold as a lot of parents are in representing our children, in protecting our children from the long-term results of such a decision. Let me know what you think, whether you're a parent, a guardian, an uncle, an aunt, a grandparent, or a person who just cares for children. What you think? Do you think it's positive to implement this basic education law amendment? Do you think there's positivity that can come from it? And if there is, let me know what positivity you think will come from it. Please watch this last video of a parent who also went to a school board meeting and read a bit of the book that is recommended by the SOGI, that is Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity. This is under the UN. That is what it is. That's the new acronym, SOGI, SOGI, Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity. That is what they're feeding our children.
A controversial children's book teaching graphic sex acts, complete with illustrations, making the rounds in school libraries and classrooms across the country, leaving parents and communities outraged. One concerned pastor tried to read the book at a school board meeting, but officials asked him to stop. Here's what he had to say about that.
If you don't want to hear it in a school board meeting, why should children be able to check it out of the school system? You see, we have perverts that are perverting our kids. And you all sit back smug in your chairs and celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion, but you don't want me to read it so you can hear it.
And he joins me now. Reverend, thank you so much for being here. They did not let you talk about the book, but I will. What's in this book?
This book is for children 10 years of age and up. This book is not soft porn, it's hardcore porn. It details explicitly with pornographic images, homosexual sex, lesbian sex, straight sex. It promotes and glorifies masturbation while speaking against religion who may call that behavior a sin. This book is used as a tool to create what I call mental rape in the hearts and the minds of children. We are robbing kids of their innocence in America as we allow diversity, inclusion, and equity to dominate our schools. And so many of our librarians are bringing this kind of material into the public school system because they believe that children need to see themselves on the shelf. I don't believe that this is perfectly normal. I believe that this is perfectly perverted, and it needs to stop.
Great point.
And they also thought it's not appropriate, and they shut him up and they said, you cannot read this book here because it is inappropriate, it is dirty, it is too blunt and too offensive, and it really is. But the question again is, if it is that offensive and that dirty and that obscene, why are you allowing our children to read it, to study it, to write exams on it, to memorize it? Is it really for them? Is it really for their benefit? Or are you trying to plant negative, evil, destructive ideas and thoughts in the lives of these children? Thank you so much for being here. I'm Katlego Moagi, and that was it on the basic education law, or the Basic Education Law Amendment known as the BELA Bill, and what it seeks to bring into the lives of our children, how it wants to take even more power and more control from the parent to the government to control the child, their education, their health, and even their sexuality. Kindly subscribe for more encouraging, educational, and always edifying content. And like the video, please leave your comment. Please share with other people who have children that they love in their lives. And before you go, please click the video on your screen now for another educational video. Until next time, bye for now.